A very good morning, everyone. Welcome to StudyIQ English. Welcome to the Hindu newspaper class with me. I am Saumya. Like every day, you and I shall have a super interactive session where we shall talk about all the UPSC relevant articles from the Hindu newspaper, the New Delhi edition. Today being the last day of January 2026, that's 31st. And before I show you which articles have I picked up for you, let me tell you, today's newspaper is quite exciting, it's quite enriching. So, we have a lot of debates with regards to social issues, political controversies. At the same time, we have some very interesting global issues to address as well. So, we shall be traveling to an area called Senkaku Islands, the OU Islands that were in the news. Apart from that, we shall also be looking at Sri Lanka. There is some important news about Sri Lanka here, and that shall also help us in understanding a very critical concept about International Monetary Fund. A lot of my new students keep asking, ma'am, why do you always say 1991 was a time when India adopted SAP, SAP? We should call it LPG. So I'll answer that question today. Okay, so before I show you all the articles, first, here's the Telegram channel QR code for those who are still looking to join the channel. And after that, a very important announcement that I need to make. So, here at StudyIQ, you know that today will be the last day for our Republic Day sale, where we are offering all the UPSC batches, all the courses up to 77% off. Plus, if you use the faculty code, that is, if you use my code SPLIVE, you get maximum discount on that. One more announcement. Now, those students who will purchase any course that is above rupees 10,000, above rupees 10,000, but before 12 a.m. today, before 31st January is over, then you get guaranteed assured gifts, say for example, an iPhone, tablet, smartwatch, wireless earphone. So these are guaranteed gifts. But then if you are buying a course above rupees 10,000, so just to let you know, remember the code and remember today is the last day. So you need to enroll today. The sale ends today. All right. Now let's look at which articles should we analyze before I welcome my students. We have 7 articles today. As I promised, there is something on climate agenda, there is something on Sri Lanka, there is something on South and East China Sea. Let's begin this exciting discussion. Now, one more thing. I will keep interacting, keep reading all your lovely comments. I absolutely enjoy doing that. But while reading the article, I'll finish the article first and then come back to the comments that my students are making. Before I show you the first article and go into detail, which is related to green steel and how can it shape India's climate goals trajectory. So that means it is from GS paper 3, environment, ecology, climate change. Okay, so let us quickly look into this article in thorough detail, followed by a practice question. GS paper 3, climate change, environment and ecology. Now let me welcome all of you and then we start. So very good morning Sitaram, Kaizen, Sumedh, Priyanshu and Rakshita, Kaushik, Preetam, Adi, my dear Ramu, Saurav, Iba, codename Cloud, Aru, Santosh, Hika, Terukula, Eric, Pranarithi, Sumit, World Cricket, and as others keep joining in, chaliye, let's proceed with the article. The first article for the day. Green steel and why is it important for India's climate discourse? Article is saying India has promised at the COP30 summit in Belém, Brazil, as a part of United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, we had the COP, Conference of Party 30 Summit. This year in 2025, it was held in a place called Brazil, Belém in Brazil, because symbolically it's the area that is rich in Amazon forest basin. In this summit, a summit that was abandoned by America, India has once again very ambitiously revised its nationally determined contributions. You might be wondering, what are these? Under UNFCCC, there are 2 globally binding treaties. One treaty was signed in 1997, that's known as Kyoto Protocol. It was signed in Japan, that's why it's called Kyoto. You know about Japanese islands, Honshu, Hokkaido, Kyoto, Shikoku. It was signed in Kyoto. 1997. It was binding on all the developed countries to control their carbon emission. Then Second binding treaty was signed in 2015, well said there. Paris Agreement. Under Paris Agreement, all the countries have to mandatory announce their NDC, nationally determined contributions. These are the amount of carbon emission you can control as percentage of your GDP. The broader idea behind Paris Agreement is to restrict or control global greenhouse gas emission, increase in weather and increase in temperature, global temperature, to 1.5 to 2 degrees Celsius as compared to the pre-industrial level. Now, this is a binding agreement. India, therefore, as a party to the convention, has also maintained its NDC. Yes, and recently India has said, my nationally determined contribution will be to control carbon emission by about 45% of GDP. Have we been complying to these rules? Good question. Not completely. We are still a little away from these rules, but still India is doing quite well. There are many more countries, especially developed countries, which have not been able to either declare or update their NDCs. India has already updated its NDC in 2022. As a part of India's NDC, India also therefore promises that by 2030, I will achieve my NDC of reducing carbon emission to 45% of GDP. Apart from that, India also promises that by 2070, I will become zero carbon. I will become a carbon neutral country. Okay, NDC, Nationally Determined Contribution. This article is saying, as a part of India's NDC, India is now trying to control carbon emission in very difficult sectors, in high carbonized sectors like steel. Steel is one sector which has a very high carbon emission rate. But at the same time, steel is also very important for India's industrial growth. If you look at the importance of steel, then the production of steel must increase to about 125 megaton. It should go beyond 400 megaton in times to come. Why? Because we need steel. Steel is the backbone for all our industrial production processes. But at the same time, steel is also contributing to about 12% of India's carbon emission. Are we not looking at once again the same classical ethical debate between development, industrialization versus carbon emission and maintaining your NDC? That is happening right now. Steel, the most important backbone for industry. At the same time, it contributes to about 12% of our carbon emission. So what should India do? Article says India is facing a dual challenge, as my student Ramu always says. This is like a double-edged sword. It is a sword that kills you from both the sides. India is facing exactly that problem. If we continue to develop, if we continue to industrialize by using and producing more steel, it is good for us. It promotes industrialization, jobs. But if we do not stop steel production the same way as it is happening right now, we will keep on increasing our carbon and greenhouse gas emission, which means we cannot achieve our nationally determined contribution in time. That's the twin challenge India is facing today. Therefore, here a very interesting concept is mentioned in the article. This is called carbon lock-in. What is this called? It is called carbon lock-in. What is carbon lock-in as per this article? Now, we are saying if we continue to produce more steel, we will continue with high carbon emission. So we should stop doing that. But immediately, even if you stop producing carbon intensive steel and you adopt a cleaner practice like, say, for example, green steel production, green hydrogen, green ammonia production, you suddenly become renewable energy based. But even then, the problem will not get solved immediately. Now comes the concept of carbon lock-in. What do you mean by that? Carbon lock-in means a situation where today's investment in high carbon infrastructure, example, coal based plants, blast furnaces, these will continue to have a high carbon emission for decades altogether. Today, suddenly, we may stop producing that, but the impact that has created will continue for another 40, 50 years. So, a sudden change may not help us. A sudden change will not help. Today, even if you introduce renewable energy in this sector. You start producing a clean and a green version of steel. Still, the impact of carbon made steel will continue for at least 40 more years. That's called carbon lock in. And that is something you cannot cancel. It is already happening now. So, high emission will continue for years altogether, even though you are now switching towards renewable energy. And today, therefore, there is a lot of global pressure on India. Why is there a global pressure? Why is there a global pressure? Bache? Global pressure is there because China is a country which is shifting now towards alternatives of steel. What do you mean by alternatives of steel? China is investing in manufacturing something that is known as green hydrogen as well as green steel. This is something China is doing. And therefore, on India, the pressure is quite strong to do something similar. What do you mean by that? China is shifting towards scrap based steel. But what is scrap based steel? What is scrap based steel? Rather than investing in new steel production, China is now reclaiming its waste to manufacture steel. It means steel produced by recycling old waste, old discard. Okay? To make new steel, now you start using things like discarded vehicles, discarded domestic utility items, discarded electronics, discarded industrial waste. And that's a very important thing because now you are reclaiming your waste to make new steel. That's what China is doing. Hence, what happens? China is saving energy, China is reducing pollution. Apart from that, even if you look at the mother of all the free trade agreement, very good. If you look at the mother of all the free trade agreement, what is the mother of all the FTAs in India? The recently signed up India EU Free Trade Agreement. India EU FTA is the mother of all the FTAs. Europe is ready to give us 99.7% reduction in tariff duty on most of Indian exports. India has now signed this EU agreement with a bloc that has 27 member countries, with countries like Germany being the third topmost economy in the world, and therefore it's a very important FTA for us. But that also comes with a pressure. India has now been facing a pressure to decarbonize. Very good. The pressure to decarbonize. It's very good that we have an FTA with Europe. It helps us in diversifying. Today, if American market is closing, at least we have access to 27 member countries of EU. Very good. And today, Mr. Piyush Goyal has said in the Hindu newspaper as well and in the news yesterday that this is a very good deal for India because all the labor intensive sectors will get benefit out of that. Sectors which generate employment in India like gems and jewelry, steel, cement, electronics, apparel, textile, footwear, very good. But it also comes with one problem and a loophole, and that loophole is CBAM, Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism. Although we are getting 99% plus reduction on tariff, very good. But all this comes at a demand that India must decarbonize. Because even if you look at Europe, then Europe will never accept, European countries, all the 27 countries of EU will not accept products from India that have a high carbon emission to them. They will never accept carbon intensive products, and that's the pressure on India to immediately switch towards low carbon intensive production. Even in this mother of all the FTA, the main impediment, the main blockage is this itself: high carbon steel imports. India continues to send steel to Europe. Yes, we are getting tariff, but what's the benefit of tariff if our manufacturers will experience a double carbon tax over there? Now that's a problem here. So this is why India is in global pressure today. Now there are many Indian companies who are already experimenting with green steel. Which are these companies? You have Tata Steel, you have JSW Steel and JSPL, you have the Steel Authority of India, the SAIL, all of which are trying to now use low carbon alternatives. They are exploring green hydrogen. What is green hydrogen? Green hydrogen is created by splitting water molecule H2O into oxygen and hydrogen. But this splitting or this separation is not done by using any carbon or any fossil fuel energy. It is done by using renewable energy. typically through a process called electrolysis, passing a current through the water molecule that separates hydrogen and water. Now, the hydrogen that you are getting is very clean in nature, very clean, because it is coming out of electrolysis. It's not coming because of any fossil fuel usage. Yes, so that's the beauty of green hydrogen. But the problem is the pace is very slow. India's companies must use quickly from pilot products to demo plants to full scale zero carbon technology. Have we seen any progress? Yes, yes. Of course, India has been making progress. A good example of the progress could be the greening steel roadmap. Under the roadmap, India is now trying to enhance, improve the production, not just of green hydrogen, very good, but also green ammonia. Green ammonia. India is trying to do that. Similarly, we have the green steel taxonomy. Now, very happy thing is that India is one of the first countries to give a formal definition to what do you mean by green steel. While most countries do not have a proper definition of what do you mean by green steel, India has now become the first country where the government is officially defining what is green steel. So, but yeah, what is green steel? What is green steel? So, green steel is a kind of steel that is manufactured with a zero carbon intensive technology. It's a very green and renewable steel production where there is no kind of carbon emission involved. So, what do you mean by green steel taxonomy? Taxonomy means name of something. India is the first country where the government is now defining classification system of steel. Government will give a label of what do you mean by green steel based on how much carbon is being emitted during steel production. It is an official rule book guideline which will tell industries, manufacturers, investors, and even the buyers that what exactly is clean and green steel and what is not, and how to measure green steel. Why is it important? Because it helps us to be safe from a process that is called greenwashing. Greenwashing. What is greenwashing? Where companies are making fake and false claims that our manufacturing has zero carbon emission, but that's not true. And since there is no official guideline, people believe, and even the consumers are deluded to believe that. If somebody today tells me that, ma'am, this remote is complete green production, it has no carbon emission involved, am I an expert? I don't have a rule book. I will immediately listen to them, or for that matter, even a cosmetic, even a medicine, a supplement. If somebody tells me, madam, this is purely zero carbon, we haven't involved any carbon emission in the process of manufacturing that, I will happily invest in that. For me, it's very easy to be fooled by that because I don't have a rule book. My government also has not created a rule book. That's called greenwashing. Fooling somebody by lying to them that what you're buying is completely a clean process production, but that's a fake claim also. So therefore, India now is becoming the first country to prevent that, where the government will classify and define what do you mean by green steel. So quite important there. Then another important thing is the National Green Hydrogen Mission of 2023. And what is the target of this mission, Bache? Very important. Under this mission of 2023, India will now plan 5 million metric tons of annual green hydrogen production. Let me now write down here. Indian government is planning 5 million metric ton of green hydrogen on an annual basis. Annually, we are going to produce so much of green hydrogen. Production capacity plus there is one more target. Another target is to create 125 gigawatts of additional renewable energy capacity. All these are the targets under National Green Hydrogen Mission. So always remember, whenever we talk about something my students have remembered in the past, I'm expecting you to remember here as well. Yes, it is coming out of H2O. H2O is water that is split through electrolysis, and then what you get is H2. Then you get hydrogen. So, okay, so you get H, yeah, hydrogen. Clean, absolutely clean hydrogen, green hydrogen. So is it clear? National Green Hydrogen Mission, remember just two agendas. 5 million metric ton of annual green hydrogen capacity. Second, 125 gigawatts of additional renewable energy capacity. Don't forget that. So you all know now what's green hydrogen. We just explained that, okay? So green hydrogen, I've told you, is when you split the water molecule into two parts, hydrogen and water. And how do you do that? How do you do that? Hydrogen and oxygen. And how do you do that? By running a current over it. Electricity, electrolysis. So now there is no kind of emission that you have produced. Typically, you create this electricity by using solar energy, wind energy without releasing carbon dioxide. So that's the beauty of this. Apart from that, the government is also now giving strong incentives to companies to invest in green energy, clean energy. At the same time, carbon intensity targets are also being revised by most companies. So that is good. All these are good developments. That India is getting not only too much investment now to adopt green technology, but India is getting inspirations from global role models. I just spoke about China. Scrap based steel production, reclaiming your waste, as Ramu said, circular economy. Similarly, CBAM. If we want profit from European market through our export, if we want that export surplus, we must therefore work towards zero carbon production. But there are certain gaps even now. India doesn't have a clear cut short, medium, and long term emission target in the steel sector. That needs to be created properly. Similarly, we have inadequate renewable energy available to industry to conduct industrial level electrolysis. Similarly, India has a very weak scrap steel ecosystem. We still do not have a proper reclaiming of waste, and that applies to both the sectors. If you are utilizing waste to manufacture steel, that is good. Similarly, for the critical minerals also, if you can utilize all the electronic and e-waste and reclaim some rare earth element or critical minerals from that, you will save money, and that's a very good thing to do. Okay. Now, can India do something quickly in this regard? Yes, we can introduce few things like carbon pricing a little more early. Let's start carbon pricing. European Union experience shows that if you produce carbon pricing, for example, if a production house or if a manufacturer will have to pay a heavy amount of money on their carbon emission, then definitely it will influence them, it will inspire them to reduce the emission factor. Similarly, provide fiscal policy support. Give priority to natural gas based economy. At the end of it, the article says green steel today is not an option. You can't say green steel, green hydrogen, green ammonia are optional to you. If you do that, very good. No, these are not optional. These are now becoming mandatory. We have seen if India wants to utilize the benefit of this EU FTA, you need to reduce your carbon emission, else, you will always pay a higher price owing to CBAM. Similarly, if India wants to become carbon neutral by 2070, the work has to start now. You must invest now in technologies like green steel at an industrial level. That's what gives you global leadership. Plus, tomorrow, India also aims to become an exporter of green ammonia and green hydrogen. That will give a real edge to the economy. Okay, so that's what the article is trying to say. Let's summarize the question and let me read the comments. Of course, you will get the PDF in my Telegram channel. We will get all the PDFs. And one more thing, please, my request is do not spam, okay? Otherwise, it disturbs the focus of the students. Yes, through Telegram, I will allow you all the PDF, but please no spamming by anybody, okay? Question. Consider the following statements regarding India's transition towards green steel. 1. India's steel sector currently contributes to about 12% of country's total carbon emission, mainly due to its dependence on coal-based blast furnaces. Second, the carbon border adjustment mechanism of European Union encourages exporting countries to adopt low carbon steel production by imposing additional cost on carbon intensive imports. 3. India has already provided full scale, complete monetary, fiscal, incentives to completely phase out coal-based blast furnace technology in the steel sector. Which of these statements are valid? Answers are already coming in. I'm happy to see Diptesh after a very long time. Good morning, Diptesh. So answers have been given by Priyanshu, Adi, Shlok. Yes, Shlok, you are right. I'll block from my side, and you can also block somebody who's spamming and troubling your focus, okay? Just block it from your side. Hika, Shlok, Abhilash, Sumit, Shakti, very good. Sitaram, Terukula, Ramu, excellent. Apex, Rajnishwar. So many students have answered. Elvin has answered. Chip has answered. Ramu, of course. And Limbs, after a long time, I'm meeting some of my students. Swapna has answered. Everyone is saying, is it A? Is it A, Kaushik? Is it A, Pranarathi? Yes, absolutely, because third is not correct. India has yet not given full scale incentive to completely remove coal-based steel production, but that's something we need to do very soon. So therefore, third is not right. Are the first two statements correct? Truly they are correct, because second statement we have discussed in the article. Now, as we have signed the mother of all the deals, FTA with European Union, a bloc of 27 nations, we must also make sure that we reduce our carbon emission on production. Otherwise, even if they give us 99.5% tariff reduction, still our exporters will have to pay a heavy carbon tax, and that offsets all the benefits you get from FTA. Well done. First two are correct. Very good, Zahir and Lavish. Very good, Priyanshu. Now, Shlok and Priyanshu are saying we are using some of the comprehension rules to answer the question. You can, but at the same time at your own risk, because it's a slightly tricky thing to do. In comprehension, rules are very straightforward. They are very effective. But in GS1, you can't exactly depend on these rules. They may work for you, they may not work for you. So well answered, Kaizen. Yes, prelims are coming. No, 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 Terukula. With your kind of performance and the focus that you people are giving, there's nothing to worry. At the same time, Bacha, what happens? Every student has a different necessity also. I see some struggling with CSAT more. I see some are struggling with revision of current affairs. Some are still not very sure about constitution. Some are struggling to remember art and culture. So there, what really is going to help me is identifying what problem exactly is bothering you. If it's purely the lack of confidence, I think you must take a deep breath and understand that with hard work, everything is possible. You are working hard, so things will happen. Okay? Nothing to worry. I'm always there with you people. But then if you have a specific query that, okay, prelims are coming, this is my weak area. And if majority can figure out any 5 to 10 such weak areas, we can definitely work on them. I can create a video on them. I can have a separate class on them. 2 days later, I'll finish CSAT class. After that, I'll take up for prelims whatever subject you want me to take. Okay, I can take that up, but I want to know what exactly is the problem area. So do clarify, think about it, discuss with each other. We'll definitely have it. Anything for you before the prelims. Okay, all right then. Yes, that's a good attitude. True, you can do that, Diptesh. You can revise budget, you can revise the economic survey. As I promised, I will provide you a 10-point summary of the economic survey. Allow me time today. I will do it tomorrow or today. Nothing to worry. I'll do that. Don't, if you're struggling in everything, no problem. Then just revise all the Hindu classes, study with good focus. Still, if there's a problem area, I'm there to support you. Let me also think of any other shortcut or strategy that enables you more confidence. Okay. But for current affairs, I promise you, nothing to worry. If you've taken the classes seriously, you will see the benefit in the exam. Okay, very good. That's good, Eric. Quickly, can we proceed with the second editorial article? The 27th Amendment, Pakistan's Democratic Dilemma. We are looking at GS Paper 2. International Relations of UPSC syllabus. We are looking at Pakistan's internal conflict right now. At the same time, will it impact India? Yes, definitely it impacts India because Pakistan is our next door neighbor. As I said earlier, any instability in South Asia, it could be in Bangladesh, it could be in the Myanmar ethnocide, it could be in Myanmar democratic collapse, political coups, it could be through Taliban, it could be the controversy in Sri Lanka, it could be the problem regarding border between India and Nepal. So everything definitely impacts India, because when the entire South Asia is unstable, there is always a fear. So we are not scared because our neighbors are in problem. We are scared that somebody else from outside, some big eagle country, you know what I'm talking about, could use this situation as an advantage and create a proxy war here. That's the major concern. Okay, so let's look what this article is saying. This article is broadly saying that Pakistan has always been a country which has never focused on democratic stability. Even if leaders or the government in Pakistan try to impose some democratization, always the military comes and takes the better of that. It has happened in the past. We have seen the example of General Pervez Musharraf. Today, something similar is happening in the case of General Asim Munir. What is going on in Pakistan? And well reminded there. Definitely, it also ropes in one point from Saudi Arabia as well. Yes? Good job. Now let's focus on this article and then let's quickly come back and discuss all your beautiful comments. Okay, so please allow me to finish this article quickly. In November 2024, it was your neighbor Pakistan that passed 27th constitutional amendment. And what was the objective of that? The objective was to recognize military structure, to give more importance to military rulership in Pakistan. It has had very big consequence. Under this amendment, the Supreme Court of Pakistan will now have no power to do any kind of proceeding, any kind of criminal jurisdiction against the military leaders in Pakistan. Therefore, this amendment has reduced the power of Supreme Court of Pakistan and transferred the original jurisdiction of Supreme Court to a new court known as Federal Constitutional Court. So under this amendment 27th of Pakistan, there are two things that are happening. One, military has been given absolute power. Nobody can sue, nobody can start any kind of criminal proceeding against military leaders. Second, the Supreme Court has lost its power and a new court has been created known as Federal Constitutional Court. Article is saying there is nothing wrong with creating extra constitutional bodies. There is no problem in creating constitutional boards, but it is a problem today because this new FCC will completely end the powers of Supreme Court of Pakistan. That means a country will slip from democratic leadership to a pure chaotic military leadership. And naturally, it's not safe for India because even when there is a puppet government in Pakistan, things like Pahalgam attack kept on happening. Today, if it completely slips in military rule, it is very unsafe for India given the fact that we share a decently long border with Pakistan. Many states of India are therefore now vulnerable to more infiltration, to more terror activities. In Pakistan, this is not a new thing, although. Every time Pakistan has been surrounded in the same controversy. Military trying to surpass the elected government of Pakistan. In the past, we have seen it was only the Supreme Court that was the custodian of any law and order. It was the Supreme Court that used to control country from slipping into complete chaos. How? Two examples have been given in this article, so focus properly. One article is the Panama paper controversy and another happens to be the Memo Gate controversy. What are these controversies, Bachche? Now in Pakistan, what happened long back in 2017? Let's talk about Panama paper controversy. In 2017, something happened in Pakistan and both times Supreme Court of Pakistan was able to help in bringing justice. What happened? In 2017, a set of official documents named as Panama Papers were leaked. They were leaked by a law company in Panama. These papers exposed that in Pakistan there are many leaders who have unlimited amount of assets and companies that are hidden and not disclosed in other parts of the world. They are owning many offshore oil companies in their own name, which they have not declared for any taxation purpose. In 2017, on these charges of corruption, the Supreme Court of Pakistan had disqualified Mr. Nawaz Sharif from holding any public office, saying that he has acted with lack of honesty under Pakistani constitutional provisions. Second is the controversy regarding Memo Gate controversy. What happened here? Now, Memo Gate controversy happened in 2011. And what is this related to? Now, this case involved an alleged secret memorandum Listen carefully. There is a secret memo that was sent to America, United States government after Osama bin Laden was killed. In this memo or report, it was clearly written that America will now try to stop a possible military coup in Pakistan, and in return, America will get so many policy concessions in Pakistan. That meant if America stops a military outbreak in Pakistan, America will get a stronghold in Pakistan. See, these are the kind of leakages that happened. All these are public documents. All these are public documents. And all of them were leaked one by one. And what happened because of that? Every time there was a leakage that happened, it was realized that it is only the Supreme Court that has been able to stop this kind of corruption and this kind of misbehavior by Pakistani leadership. So that means today, if Supreme Court itself is not there, then how will we create any stability in Pakistan? None. In the past, also in both these cases, Panama Papers as well as Memogate, it was only the Supreme Court that did justice. Today, you are removing the Supreme Court and replacing it by Federal Constitution Court. That means you are giving military complete power. How will it impact India? Of course, it impacts India. South Asia is already facing political instability. We have seen in detail the military junta and its atrocities in Myanmar. We have seen Bangladesh has slipped into complete chaos much after Sheikh Hasina was exiled from Bangladesh. We have seen about how India-Nepal border is controversial in an area in Uttarakhand named as Limpia Dhura area, where Nepal has a very different map and a very different interpretation of the river Kali and the area near the river Kali. You see, whenever neighborhood is in controversy, it is always refugee crisis, it is always cross-border terrorism where you suffer from. Very well said. Of course, it's River Kali. Now, for India, these developments therefore will matter because Pakistan becoming a military country and then very recently Pakistan signing SMDA, Strategic Mutual Defense Agreement with a country called Saudi Arabia. Pakistan being supported by Turkey, Pakistan being supported by America, Pakistan a proxy colony of China plus Pakistan a buffer state sharing borders with India. That's dangerous, very dangerous because it definitely will mean more threat of Pahalgam-like attacks on India. Even during Pahalgam attack, nobody supported India. Today, if something same happens, is there a guarantee countries like Saudi, with whom we have recently signed a strategic dialogue, countries like Turkey, countries like even America will come and support by India? No, they will not. And very rightly said, almost it is looking like a new Islamic NATO that's being created. Yes, that's valid. When countries like Saudi, Pakistan, Turkey, they support each other, that's what the danger is. Now, constitutional governance is based on the rule of law. And without any constitutional governance, a country will definitely slip into authoritarianism and some kind of dictatorship. Yes, today, what is the FCC in Pakistan? What do you mean by this Federal Constitutional Court that is going to replace the Supreme Court through this 27th Constitutional Amendment? It is a specialized court. It is not wrong to have specialized court, but by taking away authority from the Supreme Court of Pakistan, you are slipping the country in a military chaos. Long back in Pakistan, there was another amendment that was known as 18th Amendment. Yes, 18th Constitutional Amendment Act. What was that about? This amendment, 18th Constitutional Amendment, had restored the power of Supreme Court. Now by 27th Amendment, we are again making Supreme Court subject to executive domination. And the Federal Constitutional Court will be totally controlled by military leaders or the executive authorities. And this is not what you called legitimacy. This is not what you call authority. This is power. Yesterday we discussed the equation. Power is equal to authority plus what is power? Authority is equal to power plus legitimacy. Now remove this legitimacy from the equation. Authority goes off. What you're left with is power. And this 27th Amendment provides for power. It is cancelling the concept of legitimacy authority by completely giving all the authority to military and executive, not to the Supreme Court. Okay. And what are the historical lessons that we can learn under this article? Article says it was long back in 17th century, that the King of England, King James I, had said that I am everything. I have the right to decide all the legal disputes in the country. But there was another leader by the name of Sir Edward Coke. Sir Edward Coke. He said, this is not fair. Even if you are the king, you are still subject to law. Even if you are the ruler, you are still subject to the rule of law. The rule of law applies to everyone. There is nobody who should be excused from that. Now, the same controversy was highlighted as we are talking about the anti-corruption law in India. The debate between Justice Nagaratna and Justice Vishwanathan. Section 17A of the anti-corruption law. Similar thing was said by Justice Nagaratna. Please initiate a criminal proceeding against anybody, any public officer who's charged of corruption. You don't need to take any prior permission of the government because everybody is equal in the eyes of law. Even public officers will not be exempted from the legal authority of the country. Article 14 of the Constitution, right to equality prevails. Article 18, from the times of Indira Gandhi government, we don't believe in giving any special title or special status to people. Even the crown, princes and the rulers, they were, completely sort of their titles and their entitlement was taken away by the 18th article, except for merit-based awards and honors. We don't allow any special privilege to anybody in India. Yes? So that's what is being repeated here. And that is what Sir Edward Coke said. Even if you are the king, sorry, you are subject to law. And it matters to India, yes. Because India is one of the largest democracies of the world. Modern republics were deliberately created so that we can exercise power, not power, authority, through constitution, through a charter. And the biggest charter is the constitution. This episode of Pakistan once again reminds that history is witness. Every time military comes in the picture, you start eroding democracy and creating it by a legal change like this 27th Amendment Act is almost same like you are refuting and reducing the whole purpose of democracy itself. Democracy can only survive if there is a constitution. When there is no constitution and when there is arbitrariness, like through the military, through the executive, then democracies cannot survive. And for India, definitely, an unsafe neighborhood could mean more terror attack, more terror fear in the future. That's what the article says. Quickly have a look at the question. Consider the following statement regarding Pakistani's 27th Constitutional Amendment. 1. It transfers original jurisdiction over constitutional interpretation and fundamental rights from Supreme Court to the newly created FCC. Second, it strengthens Supreme Court of Pakistan as the final guardian of constitution by expanding its role in federal provincial disputes. 3. It raises concerns about judicial independence by increasing the scope for executive influence over constitutional adjudication. Which of these are valid? Very well said, Kritik there. 22nd Amendment. We were talking about the privy purse, Sumit. Very good. Thank you, Ramu. So many beautiful synonyms given by Ramu. Now, synonyms may look unimportant, but believe me, when you write essay, when you attempt compulsory language paper B, and when you attempt comprehension of CSAT, comprehensions are your savior. So beautiful, beautiful synonyms given by Ramu. Thank you. Yes, absolutely correct. You've said logical. It should not be above the law, Eric. Very well said. Now, everyone is saying the answer should be C. Is that the case? Is the third statement correct? It is totally wrong. That is what we are saying. Is the third statement wrong? It is absolutely correct only. Yes, it's correct. 27th Amendment is raising a fear that executive and military will rule over constitution and Supreme Court will not. So third is correct. First is correct, totally correct. That's what it has done. Second is correct, totally wrong. We have not strengthened, Pakistanis have not strengthened the scope of Supreme Court. They have reduced the scope of Supreme Court by giving all the power of the court to now FCC. Federal Constitutional Court. Is that clear? Yes, very good, Priyanshu. That's the beauty of UPSC. People say paper 1 is different from paper 2, it's different from paper 3. I'll never agree. When you prepare for comprehension, you are getting material for essay. When you prepare for essay, you will do comprehension better. When you do editorial articles, you will do comprehension better, you will write answers better. UPSC is one single exam. It just is a test of your different perspectives on different issues. You can't have a watertight segregation between one paper and another. Okay, is that clear, Shlok? What happened? Okay, very good. Can we proceed? Well answered. Sorry, I forgot to clap for you. Well answered, Bache. Very good. Let's proceed with third article. This is text page article. It's a lengthy article, but don't worry. I will summarize it for you in an easy manner. Can we start with this article, please? Can we focus for a minute? Okay, thank you. Article is saying in January 2026, listen, January 2026, students across the states, like Uttarakhand, Delhi, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh are protesting. They are protesting against UGC, University Grants Commission, promotion of equity in higher education institutions regulation 2026. Yes, people are protesting against this order written in the first line. They are protesting. Which topic of UPSC syllabus should this be? This will be UPSC GS paper 1. It is a social issue. Education is a social issue. Everybody should know in my class. Education is a subject under which list of 7th schedule? Union, state or concurrent? Second, it is also a topic of GS paper 2. Brilliant, Terukula. Why? Because we are looking at social justice. We are looking at caste system and diversity. Many caste and caste-based atrocities in India. Very good. What is happening? Very good. Brilliant. You should know and you know that. I'm happy. Now focus. What has happened? Why are students in these 3 states protesting against the new equity in higher education rules of UGC 2026? What has happened? Yes, indeed. Indeed, you're right. Indeed, correct. It is concurrent list. That means both union and the state can pass laws on this topic. Very good, Bache. Ground of applause. Now, why is the protest happening? Protest is happening because the general category student, the so-called higher caste student, are arguing that these rules are dividing college campuses on the basis of caste lines, and they will also discriminate against the upper caste students. That's what they are saying. But before we understand who is saying what, is it correct or not, the bigger thing is, what are the 2026 regulations all about? Bache, please focus. What are the rules all about? Listen, Bacha. For the first time, University Grants Commission has defined what is caste-based discrimination. It is a discrimination only against members of scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, other backward classes, which are also called as SEBC, socially educationally backward classes identified through the Mandal Commission back in 1979. Therefore, under these new rules, discrimination will always happen on the basis of caste. And the only people who will be victims of discrimination will be SC, ST, OBC, 27% All India Reservation, Mandal Commission 1979, known as SEBC. Only these are the victims. So therefore, the basis of discrimination is either your caste or your tribe. I repeat, caste or your tribe. Now, OBC for the first time have been clearly brought under this protection. Yes. So OBC, which is not a group of caste itself, it is class. Other backward classes, socially, educationally backward classes. Now, I am hoping that everybody in my class knows what's the difference between scheduled caste and OBC. I also hope you know what link does it have to the Aryan Varna system. If not, I can clarify later. Yes. Now, OBCs who get a 27% All India reservation on a variables basis, say state to state. Yes. are usually governed by the National Commission for Backward Classes. Now, therefore, in this article, there is an indirect hint towards 102nd Constitutional Amendment also. 102nd Constitutional Amendment is very important. That gave a constitutional status to the National Commission of Backward Classes. Do remember that. Now, for the first time, UGC is giving official protection to OBC as well. Very good. Today, stricter accountability, stricter punishment will be given in case people do not listen to these rules and in case people keep discriminating against OBC, minorities, women, people with disability, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe. Therefore, we will create equity committees. We will create equity squad. Committee and squad both will be created to do what? To protect these people. And if these minorities or these vulnerable people are tortured, if they are discriminated, strict action will be taken. Very good morning. Strict action will be taken. Why are these rules introduced? Why have these rules been introduced? If there is so much protest, I am asking, why are these rules introduced? They are introduced because government feels the earlier rules of 2012, they are not enough. They have been weakly implemented. There are many students belonging to the so-called backward communities who have been facing torture and discrimination. Some names are mentioned in the article, they are in the PDF as well. In 2016-2019, students from backward classes have committed suicide. They died all because of discrimination, and their families kept on approaching the Supreme Court, asking Supreme Court to create stricter implementation of anti-discriminatory rules. After long hearing and long contemplation, finally, UGC has notified these 2026 rules on 13 January 2026. But the bigger question is, why are students opposing them? Why are people opposing them? Listen carefully. One, people are saying the definition of caste-based discrimination is narrow. It is narrow, and this only protects people from limited number of castes, only protected few people who belong to SC, OBC, ST. It is not protecting anybody who is coming from general category. It is saying it is a complete denial of right to equality, where everybody in India is equal irrespective of their religion or caste. People are protesting that removal of protections against those who do fake complaints is not there. What if somebody is creating a false complaint? What if the complaint is invalid and somebody is lodging a fake complaint of molestation, harassment? In that case, what protection are you giving against a fake or a false complaint? What about that? People are protesting. People are saying you are also hiding. You are also hiding the identity of the person who is giving the complaint. That is not good. If somebody is raising a complaint against discrimination, you are not disclosing their identity. You are keeping confidentiality there, and that's not good. Because then the other person will never have a right to defend themselves. The other person will not even know why was a complaint raised against me, and that is not good. Then there is a fear that free political debate and student elections will be absolutely impacted by these new equity rules. So, free political debate, free speech, and free election propaganda will also end. And how are these debates happening? Now, please remember, most of these debates are not yet political party debates. Most of these protests are online social media, WhatsApp, Instagram, X. All that social media based protest is going on. Slogans are being highlighted. People are doing dharnas. Yes, all that is going on. And some people are also shouting that by creating these rules, government has insulted upper caste people. So there is no value of EWS quota also. The government in 2019 had created a separate 10% quota, all India, for people coming from poor backgrounds, economically poor backgrounds, those who are not covered by any other reservation. So therefore, the upper caste people general were beneficiaries of the EWS quota. Today, students are shouting, remove that also. We don't need that. Because you are anyway discriminating against that, so remove the EWS quota also. What are the views in this regard? Now, there are opposite views. If the upper caste people are angry, then people who represent the so-called backward and lower caste are saying that no, it is good. It is good. Adivasi students and other backward class students are saying discrimination is not on paper, it is in reality. We have experienced discrimination, it is a part of our lived experience. It's a part of our lived experience. We hear taunts every day. We are the people who hear casteist remarks. People don't respect us because of our caste. Very often they mock and they ridicule us. Surveys have shown from IIT Delhi in 2019 and 2020 that there are too many casteist remarks even in daily language against people who come from these so-called backward classes or communities, and therefore these people are arguing there is nothing wrong in making a rule like this. After all, it is meant to protect us. So what's the difference between the earlier rules of UGC 2012 to now today that have been created in 2026, the new equity rules? What's the difference? The difference is that in 2012, there was a broad definition of discrimination with detailed listing of SC/ST discrimination separately. Okay, there was no such strong penalty. In 2026, the discrimination has been becoming a narrow word now. Discrimination has become a narrow word now. It is now becoming caste specific, caste based discrimination. Institutional mechanism is now there to punish, like equity committee, equity squad. Critics are saying 2026 is diluting the definition of discrimination. It is only saying discrimination can happen with the backward classes. It cannot happen by, and it cannot happen on upper classes, and that's not valid. Discrimination can happen on anyone. That's what the upper class people are saying. So what is the decision now? The Supreme Court is also now in a dilemma, therefore, and the Honorable Court, a bench of the Supreme Court led by the Chief Justice of India, the 53rd Chief Justice of India, Justice Surya Kant, has said, stop for now. The rules will be stayed for now. There is a temporary halting of the rules. It has asked UGC to go back to the 2012 rules temporarily, and in the meantime, the court will investigate what's the reality. But despite that, there is anger in India. Too much anger in India. There is a kind of Bharat Bandh, an all India protest that was being called on February 1st. Political parties are also now ready to jump in the controversy. They are getting a good advantage here. Proxy war. It's a proxy war for political parties, especially places like Uttar Pradesh, which will have the 2027 assembly elections. Political parties are now trying to commit themselves to upper castes by gaining their confidence. After all, every state election in India is won on the basis of castes. What's the UPSC main conclusion of this article? It shows that caste system in India, no matter what you do to finish that, no matter how many constitutional provisions are there to finish that, no matter how much we westernize, no matter how much we modernize, but in Indian society, the most permanent feature of our culture happens to be caste, and we can't deny that. This means you have made changes to caste system. But I'm writing one line here. This line will prove to be, what do you call that? It is a magic potion for GS paper 1 and 2 and for sociology students. Whatever changes have come in caste system are only functional changes. A very famous thinker called Yogendra Singh says that. All the changes in caste system are functional changes. They are temporary changes. They are not structural changes. Caste was, caste will, and caste is one of the most existing ubiquitous realities of Indian society. Now, for my UPSC nerds, which articles of the Indian Constitution are involved here? Right to equality, Article 14. Yes. Article 15, prohibition of discrimination, specially 15 by 1, prohibits discrimination on the grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth. Article 15 by 4, Article 15 by 5, which allow special provisions for socially and educationally backward classes in India. Yes, including SC/ST. Article 16, equally important here. Equality of opportunity to everyone. Very good, Terukula. Article 338B. Excellent. National Commission of Backward Classes. Brilliant. Any other article? Yes, absolutely. Article 21. Right to life, liberty, dignity. Yes. Article 17, which prohibits untouchability. Any other article can you think of? I can think of. Article 19(1)(a). Students are saying this will also stop us from exercising free speech and expression during election in colleges. Free speech and expression. So Article 19(1)(a). Any other article, bache? Article 246. Article 246 of the Indian Constitution indirectly. And the 7th schedule indirectly, because higher education is a concurrent list subject. UGC derives authority from central legislation, but UGC also must act as per constitutional limits. Yes? So will you remember all these articles? Excellent. Very well summarized, Santosh. Correct. A very valid point made by you, Ram. Absolutely. And there's no harm in having such arguments with each other. It is a healthy discussion. And I strongly encourage intellectual discussion. You can express your viewpoints, provided we are acting on the basis of respect and mutual regard and dignity. It's very good to have views. Please have views. It's good. Yes? Very good. Brilliant, Madhav. So we should all understand how was caste system. How has caste system come out of the Varna system? Now, many people don't understand that. Some students still will worry. How come only the Hindu and the Sikh communities are getting reservation when it comes to scheduled caste? Why not the convertees into other religions like Islam or, for that matter, Christianity? Why don't they get reservation in scheduled caste? If not, then why do they get in OBC? So that goes back to the difference between Aryan system, the Varna system, and how all that initiated. Very interesting topic. More sociological, we can take it up someday. Quickly, please do the question. Consider the following statements regarding UGC promotion of equity in higher education institution regulation 26. 1. The regulations introduced for the first time a formal definition of caste-based discrimination. Explicitly, clearly, extended protection to OBC students. Second, these rules provide for creating an equity committee and equity squad with representation of multiple social groups, and they prescribe punishment for institutions that fail to comply. And 3, regulations were notified after long proceedings in Supreme Court of India following concerns raised over inadequacy of 2012 anti-discrimination rules. Who is answering? Today we are too busy in discussing and doing some kind of group discussion. Are we? It's a good thing. Before the prelims, we can also have a one-on-one. I'll talk to the backend team. We can have a nice Zoom session in which we can talk about these things also. It's good to have group discussions. It prepares you for the interview, right? My God, fractured verdict. Ever since Justice Nagaratna and Justice Vishwanathan have given a split verdict, my students have learnt an example. Every day I get split verdicts, whether it's the CSAT class or whether it's the Hindu newspaper class. Why so much split verdict, bache? What's happening? B, C, A, D. Only 4 are there. B, C, A, D. Which is the valid answer? Look at the first one. Is it not correct? Absolutely, it's correct. No, first is right. That's what they have done. Second, is it not correct? Correct only. Third is not correct. Correct only. All are correct, Zahir. Yes. So, what should be the answer then? D only should be the answer. No, why is B the answer? Why is C the answer? Why not D? What happened? You got too carried away by the emotional controversy of this article? What happened? Why is everyone saying B? Why is 3 not correct? The regulations were notified after long proceedings in Supreme Court of India following concerns raised over the inadequacy of 2012 discrimination rules. But that's what I told you in the lecture, na bache, that because people think 2012 rules are not enough, they are a very broad and vague definition, we create a special definition. Today, unfortunately, we are narrowing it so much that we say discrimination can only happen to people from selected group of backward communities. But other people have a problem with that. They are saying discrimination can happen with anyone. Na? If that's not the reality, then why did you pass the 103rd constitutional amendment and create the EWS? Because you felt that discrimination can be universal. So why are today you doing something opposite? That's why all are correct. D will be the answer. Any confusion? Any confusion? Any confusion? What's happening? What's the confusion? Okay, that's a very emotional rhetoric some students are raising. It's good to have rhetorics, but bache, it's good to also have the reality, right? Is it clear or not? Yes, please confirm. Why so much confusion? Terkula, Ramu, Sitaram, Vikash, Diptesh. Yes, Zahir, Priyanshu. What is happening? No, no, no. It's not about the editor. It's written in the article. It's in the article itself. Editors can't change it so much. It's in the article. So after a very long debate, Supreme Court has decided this. It felt 2012 is not enough. No, but that's a very, very individualistic opinion, Lavish. I may not be able to answer that, okay? I may not be able to give an answer to that. We need to act with a certain kind of intellectual diplomacy as well, right? Is it clear to everyone? Why D is the right answer? Great. More controversies, we can discuss that later. Now, quickly, let's proceed with a very beautiful article. And now we need to travel. So, pack your travel belts and let's proceed to the South China Sea or to the South China Sea, okay? Let's go there. Yes? Great. Oh, before that, sorry. Before that, there's another article we need to discuss quickly. Then we shall travel to China. Now, be in India only. Sorry, guys. No visa right now. Be in India. What are we looking at? We are looking at, unfortunately, how recently a tragedy happened in which National Congress Party leader, Mr. Ajit Pawar, who lost his life, right? We all have seen that tragedy. Now, today, what is happening? His wife, Miss Sunetra Pawar, will now take up the post of the first woman. I repeat, the first woman deputy chief minister of Maharashtra. Yes? First woman deputy chief minister of Maharashtra. So don't we need to know a certain few things about this article? It's a very small article, but there are a few important things we should know. Which article of the Constitution? Listen carefully. Okay, let's forget that article right now. UGC controversy will be there. We can talk about it. We can discuss that. But let's not get carried away. First, let's look into this. Then let's go to China first. Okay, listen carefully. It is Article 164 in India. It is Article 164 in India that deals with the appointment of who? State Council of Ministers. Okay, Article 164 that deals with appointment of State Council of Ministers. What does it say? It says Chief Minister of a state will be accompanied. He shall appoint. He will be appointed or she will be appointed by the governor. Yes. Chief Minister will be appointed by the governor and the other ministers will be appointed by the governor on the aid and advice of the Chief Minister. And these ministers will hold the office until and at the pleasure of the governor. Is that clear? Is that clear? Kindly please don't spam. That's my sincere request. Please, let's not spam the comment box. I will see all the comments one by one. I can answer those which are within my, you can say, pedagogical limits. I will answer those. So let's not spam, okay? Please, that's a gentle request. Okay. Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. Coming back. Article 164. Article 164 deals with the appointment of Council of Ministers. It's clear with everyone. Yes. At the same time, let's also understand Chief Minister will be appointed by the governor along with other Council of Ministers. That's clear. But now the main thing comes in picture. The post of Deputy Chief Minister is not mentioned in the Constitution. The post of Deputy Chief Minister, listen carefully, the post of Deputy Chief Minister is not mentioned in the Constitution at all. It's not there. Usually a senior minister in the state cabinet will be given the title of Deputy Chief Minister and he will be appointed by the chief minister, and he will be formally sworn in. Who will formally give the swearing ceremony? They will formally be sworn in by the governor of the state. So these are few things that we must understand about Article 164. So now my request would be, rather than going into the political controversy behind the article, she is not a cabinet minister. She should not have been appointed here. Why is her name being nominated? Is it a controversy between Congress and the BJP? So let's not get political. So political controversies are very fascinating to talk about. I agree. I so agree. But when we are doing UPSC coverage of these articles, it's best to act very academically, because it's very good to have opinions, but for the purpose of this exam, it's good to be informed rather than being only opinionated. So let's take out the UPSC relevance of this article rather than getting sworn and getting swayed away by the politics, okay, by the controversy, right? As far as I am concerned, I usually maintain no such opinion. I am very opinionated when it comes to international politics, but when it comes to Indian politics, I'll prefer the informed path rather than the opinionation path, because that's not going to help my students, right? Yes? So, very well said, Ramu. What do we pick up from this article? Just remember, she's the first lady deputy CM here, right? Also remember, very good, it is Article 164 of the Constitution that talks about the chief minister and how they are appointing the council of ministers. But for deputy chief minister, there is no constitutional provision. That's it. This time she has been appointed because people are saying we needed somebody and they could not think of any other name. So that's why they have appointed her. So they have done this. Although it is subject to criticism, like many people here are criticizing, opposite parties are also criticizing. But as of now, that has been done. She has been formally sworn in. It could be a temporary solution. It could stay for a longer term. Perhaps she will fight the election. Some membership provision will be created for her. Okay, is that clear? Is that clear? Absolutely. Absolutely, Abhilash. That very well said. Now that she's elected, now that she has been nominated, she may have to seek an election through a state election campaign. Perhaps she will try to secure a seat within a given frame of time. If she can, she will continue. If she's not, maybe she will be changed. Yes? Wonderful. Thank you so much for understanding, everyone. Very good, Vikash, Ramu, and everyone here. Thank you. On that note, before I take you to China, what are the powers of deputy chief minister? They don't have any constitutional autonomy, by the way. They don't have. Their functions will depend on the portfolio given to them, and they will usually follow the mandate of the government. This person can act as a chief minister only if given authority to do that, or when the chief minister is absent. But please remember, not constitutionally. My main agenda of talking about this was not the politics, but it was in prelims. If you get a question about deputy chief minister, that it is a constitutional post, don't get confused. It is not constitutional. I repeat, it is not constitutional. That's all for this article. Let's go to China. Let's go to China. Yes, yes, absolutely. I am also becoming a pro at Dunro Doctrine now. Let's go to China. She has to win the confidence, she has to win the seat, then she can continue, else she will leave. So there is a provision. Somebody was asking, can she be elected even if she is not an MLA? She will seek the seat now. If she fails to do that, she will be removed. Simple. Can we go to China? Let's go to China. Come, quickly, let's go. What happened in China again? Any new thing has happened? Yes, yes. China and Japan are again fighting. Now what happened? China's Coast Guard ship has been found doing patrolling and surveillance in an island that is held by Japan. In an island that's held by Japan. But in today's article, I'm going to talk about a new place which we have never spoken about. So I will not only take you to this area, I will also introduce you to a new area. Which area? Let's quickly summarize. My nerds know by now there is an island called Pingtan Island. Island in China that's nearest to Taiwan. So China keeps attacking Taiwan. My students know there is an island called Yonaguni Island that is just about 100 kilometers away from Taiwan. It is an area that's held by Japan. It is not China's. It is Japanese area only. Japanese westernmost inhabited island in the Okinawa area. But China keeps on blaming Japan whenever Japan wants to put any missile program here. We have also read about a third one, Senkaku. Today, the dispute is exactly about Senkaku. What has happened? Now, there is a group of islands in the East China Sea. There is a group of islands in the East China Sea. These are called Senkaku Islands by Japan, but China calls them as Diaoyu Islands. China calls them as Diaoyu Islands. These are uninhabited islands, but they are very special islands. What are they? They are very tiny, very small. Let me show you. Here are these Senkaku Islands. Can you see the orange dot on the map? Bacha, here is Senkaku. China calls it Diaoyu. I repeat, these are Senkaku. China calls them Diaoyu. Now, they are very small and they are in the East China Sea. You can see it east to the China. It is in the East China Sea. They are usually controlled by Japan. Japan says it belongs to me, but China doesn't understand that. Why is China behind these islands? Because they are so fertile. They have some excellent natural gas fields. They have a very big potential of oil field, gas field, critical minerals, rare earth elements, fish, seafood. They are rich in all this. And that's why, just like President Trump is running behind Arctic, China runs behind Senkaku or Diaoyu. Yes? Did you see the location of Diaoyu nicely, properly? Great. Now, this article only says, again, China has sent patrolling ships to Diaoyu. Japan is not happy. That's it, full stop. But should we stop here? No, because for UPSC, we need to be unstoppable. So let me introduce you to another island that we have not spoken about earlier, Bache. It can come in the exam now. It is called Kuril Islands. Which island am I talking about? Kuril Islands. What are Kuril Islands? Can we travel to Kuril Islands? Everybody knows Senkaku. In future, nobody will get confused. China, everybody can see on the map. Here in the bottom is Taiwan. Taiwan is what? One country, two system. China claims Taiwan. Yes, controversy is there. We all know about it. Now, you know Taiwan's location. You know China's location. You've seen it nicely. You've also seen on the right, you can see Okinawa. This is a small area. It belongs to Japan. It's a Japanese area, Japanese territory. Yes? Now, this in between come your Senkaku, Diaoyu. Now you know about Diaoyu. So let's quickly travel to another group of islands known as Kuril Islands. Where are Kuril Islands? Where are Kuril Islands? Yes, Shlok, Terukula, Abhilash, Ramu. Here it is on the map. Can everybody see Russia? It's in the red. Can everybody see the small Japan? Japan, archipelago of 4 islands. Honshu, Hokkaido, Shikoku, Kyushu. This is Japan for you. Can you see in the northern Japan area? There is a small group of islands here between Russia and Japan. But these are Kuril Islands. I repeat, Kuril Islands. Why are they controversial? Kuril Islands are controversial. They are a volcanic archipelago. Archipelago is a group of islands. Let me change the pen color to write it properly. Okay. So Kuril Islands are volcanic islands. What are these? They are volcanic islands northeast of Japan. Very good, Eric. What are these, bache? These are about 1300 kilometers in size. What? Kuril Islands. Yes. Why are they controversial? Because they are located in Japan's Hokkaido area. But they are also overlapping with Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula. Bache, Kamchatka was in the news. Why? Kamchatka area in Russia had experienced a major earthquake, a major volcanic eruption a while back. Yes? So Kamchatka now. These Kuril Islands are overlapping strategically between Japan's island called Hokkaido and Russia's area called, which area? Kamchatka Peninsula. Now they are administered by Russia, but they are claimed by Japan. Okay, so let me write down here. They are administered by Russia, by Mr. Putin, but they are claimed by Japan. Claimed by Japan. Clear? Now, Japan says these are my islands. These are rich again in resources. Rich. Rare earth material, critical mineral, fish, oil and gas. So Russia wants these islands. They are strategically important too. because they lie in the Pacific tectonic boundary. And now because they are in tectonic boundary, they are very prone to earthquakes also. This entire area is very tectonically sensitive. Right? Now it is a territorial dispute. It is a territorial dispute between Russia and Japan, therefore. Is it clear? Will all of us remember Kuril Islands with the map? The area, volcanic, Kamchatka, Hokkaido. I will repeat this, nobody should forget. Nautical miles, not nautical. Nautical miles, that's the exclusive economic zone under UNCLOS. Very good. Very good, Apex. Now, if you remember Kuril Islands, then there is one more thing I want to talk about in just exactly 1 minute. A lot of people were asking when I was doing the current affairs class on this 9-line policy of China that, ma'am, is Yonaguni also a border conflict between Japan and China? It is not. It is not. Now listen carefully. China has a 9-line. That means in the entire South China Sea, China claims almost all the area beginning from Paracel, Spratly, Scarborough Shoal, James Shoal. Everything is claimed by China. Correct? Correct. Now, but if you talk exclusively about China and Japan, yes, they are fighting over many areas, but officially they are only fighting between Senkaku Islands. The official controversy of boundary is only about Senkaku Diaoyu, the one we saw in East China Sea. What about Yonaguni? Yonaguni is not claimed by China. Yonaguni is a purely Japanese island. It is a part of Japan's Okinawa area. Okinawa you can remember because people in Okinawa live up to 130, 140 years also. Their lifestyle is like that. Very peaceful, good food, seafood, and they are very relaxed community. So they have a very long longevity. Life expectancy is the highest in this area. So don't forget that. Okinawa. Now Yonaguni is in Okinawa. It is Japan's westernmost area, very close to Taiwan. Very close to Taiwan, about 110 kilometers from Taiwan coast. You want to see the map, Shlo? I'll show you. That is Yonaguni. But don't forget, Yonaguni is not China's, it is Japan's. There is no boundary fight between Yonaguni. The only fight is because it belongs to Japan. Let's see the map also. Yonaguni is right here. Here is Taiwan, here is Yonaguni. I'm marking with a yellow color, okay? So don't forget. Here is Taiwan, here is Yonaguni almost. About 110 kilometers upwards of Taiwan. It doesn't belong to China. It belongs to Japan itself, Okinawa. But every time Japan tries to put any missile here, China thinks Japan is trying to capture Taiwan. And that's why China retaliates. Okay, but officially it doesn't belong to China. Clear? Official land dispute is only between Senkaku, and it is not a land dispute. It is a maritime dispute. Just like between India and Sri Lanka, there is no land dispute. It is called maritime dispute. Is it clear? Very good. Long back in one of my classes, I don't even remember, it was September last year or August last year. It was Vikash or Diptesh. One of these students had mentioned Thalvek principle. I distinctly remember that time we were studying Operation Sindoor and I had spoken about the run of Kutch area. And then one of these two students said Thalvek principle. I remember that. So those are also issues related to maritime dispute. Don't forget that. Yes. Now almost we are done. Let's quickly focus on page number 1. The Supreme Court of India has given a very informative statement. The Honorable Court is saying menstrual health is integral to right to life. We all know what is right to life. Right to life and right to dignity is Article 21. Today, the Honorable Supreme Court is saying menstrual hygiene in school is like right to life. Very good. Very good. Thanks for repeating again, Vikash. And yes, it is Sir Creeks. Correct. The Sir Creek, the thin estuary that is very salty. Sir Creek. Beautiful. That's Thalvek principle. Excellent. Coming back to menstrual right. It is under Article 21, the right to life. That's what Supreme Court says. Now, why in India is it such a big issue? Because we have seen when girls do not have an access to separate toilets, when they do not have access to menstrual equipments in school, their attendance to school declines. So if you are promoting Sarva Shiksha, Samagra Shiksha, if you are promoting right to education is also related here. Article 21A. Then you must understand to allow girls more access to schools, you must allow them some clean sanitation infrastructure. Now, this leads us to also ask another question. that in India, what has the Indian government done to promote menstrual awareness among girls, among people? The biggest such scheme in India was the Menstrual Hygiene Scheme, MHS. It was launched under the National Health Mission of India, targeting girls from the age of 10 to 19 by providing them low cost, affordable sanitary napkins to provide awareness regarding safe menstrual practice. It was implemented by the ASHA workers, accredited social health care activist. Then we had another important scheme known as RKSK. Rashtriya Kishore Swasthya Karyakram. Kishore means teenager, adolescent. It is also under National Health Mission. What's the objective? Launched in 2018. The idea is to promote menstrual awareness among girls. Last but not the least, today we have a bigger program called Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan. Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan. From 2018 onwards, Indian government has combined existing programs like Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan, Teachers Education Scheme into one program known as Samagra Shiksha. Samagra means universal to everyone. Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan from 2018. What's the objective? To solve the problem of lack of girls' attendance in school due to menstruation. On that note, let's also remember in India, a lot of governments from states are trying to provide menstrual leave. So far, Kerala and Bihar have been able to provide a compulsory menstrual leave to women employees. Yes, very good. You can supplement this with other schemes like Matritva Vanjana, Janani Suraksha. All these are equally good. Plus, when we launched the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan in 2015, one theme under Swachh Bharat Abhiyan was also to promote at the same time disposing menstrual pads safely so that diseases do not spread. Absolutely. That is what is called as culture gap, bachche. Yes. Now, quickly, the last article for the day. Just now, we spoke about Thalweg principle. We spoke about Sir Creek's dispute. We spoke about maritime boundaries. We looked at China, Japan. Why should we only look at China, Japan? Why can't we also look at Sri Lanka? What happened in Sri Lanka? Recently, in 2025, a major cyclone came in Sri Lanka called as Cyclone Ditwa. How did India respond? India responded by providing help under Operation Sagar Bandhu. After all, India is committed to supporting its neighbor. From 2014, India believed in Look East policy. From 1991, India believed in Look East policy. From 2014, we believe in Act East policy. Yes? India provided so much help, medication, food, yes, and other relief items to Sri Lanka. We sent INS Udaygiri, INS Himgiri, all to support people in Sri Lanka. All that is very good. But today the news is talking about something completely different. Something completely different. Before I get into that something completely different, and before I talk about how is Sri Lanka taking help from IMF, therefore, as majority of my students ask that, ma'am, every time you say LPG, why do you always say it is not LPG, it is SAP? Today in this article, I will answer that question. All you need to do is to give me last 2-3 minutes. So focus, please. One thing is, because we spoke about boundary, very good. All good ideas are coming. Mahasagar, dugongs, very, very good. Because we spoke about Sri Lanka, remember, India, Sri Lanka have some border disputes. Chiefly, they share a maritime boundary. This maritime boundary is known as Park Strait. It is known as Park Strait. What are the key geographical features here? It is narrowest 40 kilometers between India's Rameshwaram and Sri Lanka's Talai Manar. This area also has Adams Bridge. It is a very broken limestone shoal bridge that links India and Sri Lanka. It is submerged underwater partially, so there's no land boundary. It is maritime boundary called as Park Strait, and therefore sometimes areas near this region known as Kacha Thivu Island are also disputed between India and Sri Lanka, although Kacha Thivu under mutual agreement of India Sri Lanka belongs to Sri Lanka under Sri Lanka's exclusive economic zone under UNCLOS, but Indian fishermen often go there and do fishing. That is objected to by people in Sri Lanka, saying that Sri Lankan fishermen lose their fish reserves. Plus, Indian practice of bottom trawling is also damaging the coral reefs of that area. Well done. That's the thing. Now, coming back to what's in the news about Sri Lanka. So, Sri Lanka is a country that was battered by Cyclone Ditwa, but Cyclone Ditwa is only a recent development. Actually, going back to 2022, from 2022 onwards, Sri Lanka has experienced a major economic decline, a major economic collapse. So let's talk about the solutions that Sri Lanka has done. Listen carefully. Listen carefully. From 2022 onwards, Sri Lanka was experiencing terrible economic problems. Terrible economic problems. In fact, Sri Lanka was also victim to China's debt trap policy. Yes? Now, there is a port in Sri Lanka, Hambantota, that also is viewed by China as a key part of China's string of pearls policy. So Sri Lanka was able to first create China was able to create economic infrastructure in Sri Lanka and later abandoned Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka was in economic collapse throughout. Since 2022, Sri Lanka has been experiencing massive devastation of balance of payment crisis. Sri Lanka ran out of its dollars. There was no money to buy essential goods and services. It was the biggest shortage in 2022 that Sri Lanka faced, and for the first time, Sri Lanka had no option but Sri Lanka in 2023 went and took help from International Monetary Fund. International Monetary Fund, like the World Bank, is a Bretton Woods institution. They are meant to support countries that are victims of balance of payment crisis. Yes, in March 2023, under President Ranil's request from Sri Lanka, IMF gave Sri Lanka a loan of rupees 2.9 billion. Today, what has happened? People in Sri Lanka are retaliating. They are saying it is not good. Don't take these loans. We will pay a price for these loans, but Sri Lankan government is not understanding that. Yesterday itself, the new president of Sri Lanka, Mr. Anura Kumar, he said that no, we need the help of International Monetary Fund because we took it in 2023. Now also we are facing problem. Now also we are struggling with balance of payment crisis, and he said Sri Lanka will continue to take monetary help from IMF despite heavy criticism by the people. The president of Sri Lanka said we have been devastated by Ditwa cyclone in November 25 and we cannot progress without support from IMF, and therefore we will continue to use a policy called extended fund facility. I repeat, extended fund facility from IMF. Now comes the bigger question. Whenever I talk to you about 1991 LPG reforms in India, I always say, Bacche, that's what I'm coming to, Bacha. I always say, never say it was liberalization, privatization, globalization. In reality, it was structural adjustment program. What is that? And what happens when a country takes loan from IMF? Now, the history of this situation goes back to Latin America. Long back, countries like Mexico were experiencing a terrible balance of payment crisis in 1970s. That time they approached IMF and they said, we want loan. IMF gave that loan. That's what IMF does. But does anything in life come for free? Does anything in life ever come for free? Tell me, who will give you money for free? Why will anybody give you money for free? As a defaulting country, why will anybody give money to Mexico or in 1991 India or in 2023 Sri Lanka or recently in Pakistan? Why will IMF give money? It will not give. Naturally, it will give on some condition. This loan that is given on a very easy condition is known as a soft loan. IMF program gives you loan, but the condition, now listen very carefully, IMF will give you loan, but the condition on which IMF gives you loan, the condition which is called extended fund facility, that condition is known as structural adjustment program. In order to take that loan, you will have to fulfill certain conditions to make IMF happy. And what are these conditions? When IMF gives you money, the country which is getting the money will now spend less on social welfare. The country will not spend on education. The country will not spend on social welfare program. The country will not support housing, education, sanitation for the poor. The country will not spend any subsidy or welfare money on rural communities. The government will therefore not invest too much in health, education, and climate adaptation. They will not. What will they do? Rather, they will open up their economy completely for the entry of foreign direct investment. They will allow multinational companies like KFC, PepsiCo, all these famous MNCs. They will allow them to come and open their factories in India so that the country, not India, any other country, so that the country now starts receiving more foreign direct investment. So that the countries now start getting more money and more employment generation. But in return, you have to also spend less and you have to be busy in collecting revenue. You only have to think of your profit. You have to manage your finances very responsibly. You will now not give subsidies, you will not give freebies, and you will not start supporting your poor people. Stop doing that. That is called structural adjustment program. Now, a very unfortunate reality of structural adjustment program is that it causes a problem of social dumping. It causes social dumping. What do you mean by that? When the government says, I am not spending on labor welfare, I am not spending on any kind of people welfare program, naturally poor gets more poor. Naturally, labor will not get any justice like social security code. Labor will not get anything like fixed wage, occupational safety, nothing of that sort. You are ready to compromise with the welfare of your people. Why? Because you need that money. You will open the private sector and multinational companies will come to your country in return. They will spoil your economic resources. They will exploit your underground water. They will take away all the forest area. Forest will be cut. Underground water will be polluted. Factories will be created. Labor laws will not exist. All that you will have to sustain. You have to bear with that. It's a price you are paying to get the soft loan from IMF. This is called structural adjustment program. When a country adjusts its structure by liberalizing, privatizing, relaxing welfare, acting with austerity, no sacrifice, no welfare, no spending, no taking care of poor, and trying to save as much money as possible. That's called structural adjustment program. So from outside, it looks very good. LPG, liberalization, privatization, globalization. The inside reality is very ugly. It is called SAP. Is it clear to everyone? Therefore, SAP is a kind of IMF-led fiscal discipline program, where now IMF will decide what financial discipline you will follow. Okay? Now, IMF decides what discipline you will follow in your finances if you want that money. That's the condition you have to follow. No wonder when India signed for 1991 LPG, everybody was happy that, we are opening up our private sector, 100% FDI is coming. Yes, it's good in a way. It creates job opportunities. It's good in a way. Your country experiences global integration. More technology comes to your country, but it has a very ugly side effect. And the ugliest side effect goes to those people who work in the informal sector. In fact, in India, the biggest birth to informal sector was given by SAP. Before SAP, private companies were usually under government control. And when government controls something, the government takes care of pension, social security. It is formal organized sector. But the day government withdraws and your industry is played by market and private entities, they are ruthless. They are ruthless. They will only think of profit. They will never think of labor welfare. They sacrifice all the international labor organization commitments. Now, a lot of my students ask, ILO has 8 mandatory conventions. Why does India follow only 6? Because we have signed up for the SAP. Since 1991, we had to compromise our labor welfare. No wonder in India we have such a big informal sector, vendor system, unorganized sector, and people are victims of social dumping. Today, same thing is going to happen in Sri Lanka. People are not happy about that. People are complaining, don't do this. Don't take more loan from IMF. It causes labor devastation. It causes social dumping to people. But the government of Sri Lanka says, no, we are not in any mood to cancel this loan program. We will not. And we will continue to take more money, that is about Sri Lankan currency 500 billion, to protect rural livelihood, to maintain the strength in the economy, and that will not change. In fact, we are taking additional support now. He says IMF is giving us additional 200 million loans now under an instrument called Rapid Financing Instrument. Quickly, this money will come because Sri Lanka is in crisis. It's an urgent balance of payment crisis and the money will come. So this is SAP, the ugly side of, the real side of LPG. Liberalization, privatization, globalization, and now Sri Lanka is signing up for that. Is it clear to everyone? The whole big logic behind SAB, the whole big logic behind LPG, social dumping, is it clear to everyone? Very well said. And thank you for reminding me, Vikash. The two conventions India have not signed in ILO, International Labour Organization, despite being a founding member of ILO, are conventions number 87 and 98, and both of these relate to union, labor union, collective bargaining capacity. Now we are done with everything except the last question. Yes, the ugly side of LPG, bache. Consider the following statements regarding IMF-led fiscal discipline. 1. It generally requires the borrowing country to reduce fiscal deficit through expenditure control and revenue enhancement. Second, it involves price reforms like reduction of subsidies on fuel and electricity. And 3, it mandates a complete withdrawal. It mandates a complete withdrawal of the state from social sector like spending on health and education. Mark the words, please. Mark the words carefully. Terukula answers. Terukula answers. Priyanshu answers. Shlok answers. Sumed answers. Madhav answers. What about Iba, Zahir? What about, say, Bulbul, Shlok, Sumit, Saurav, okay, Kritik answers. Vikash, Santosh, well done, well done. Ramu, absolutely Ramu, you're right. Saurav, Pranarithi, Chip, well done. So what should I do in that case? What am I supposed to do in this case? Of course, I can only give a huge round of applause because you've made me speechless. While the third statement is super confusing, the first two are right, making A as the right answer. Now, why is the last statement not correct? Because look what it says. It says, it mandates a complete withdrawal, but a complete withdrawal is not possible. The government will run the country anyway. So yes, the government will withdraw from the social sector in a major way, but that doesn't mean all the government schools, all the government primary healthcare centers will be shut completely. The government withdraws. It will not spend anything extra. It will not do anything now. No more fiscal allocation to welfare. But what about the existing infrastructure? Government can't dump that, no? Government can't say, okay, shut the government school, shut the public health center. That's not possible. So complete is the main word. I know now Shlok will say that it is about extreme word and Priyanshu will say the same. Is it? Decide on your own. Ramu is saying the same thing. That's completely your call. But as of now, A will be the right answer. Okay, so very well done. I really enjoyed today's class because of the fascinating topics. Try not to forget anything that we discussed, and do remember, Bachche, that today is 31st January and today midnight we are ending the up to 77% sale. So anybody who was thinking whether I should enroll for the program, probably it could be a good opportunity because price is very low right now. And even beyond 77%, if you use my code SPLIVE, further discount. So at a throwaway price, you get a huge support system for prelims as well as for mains and interview guidance 27 and 28. Today the sale will end. So enroll today. If you buy something that's above 10,000, a free guaranteed gift like iPhone, tablet, wireless earphones, smartwatch, anything is possible. So you can try your luck there. Yes. Thank you so much. God bless you. Have a great weekend. Keep revising and don't worry about the prelims. You will do very well. All the best and lots of blessings to each one of you. Bye-bye, everyone. You can do that, Kritik. If you can't follow daily, but you follow monthly. If you want anything else from my side as support, I'm there. We can host those on my channel, on our channel. Thank you so much. Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you, Sahir. Thank you so much. Bye-bye, everyone. I'll meet you on Monday 9 a.m. So each one of you, each and every name here, because of bad throat, I'm not taking all the names, each and every name here. God bless you. See you on Monday. Bye, bache.